I said once here a while back in a video I did back in, I think it was February or March, I was giving some tips on where to find food for free. Back then I was covering pecans, the local pecan trees that are growing on the courthouse. Well, we're going to go and pick some crab apples this morning, make some good apple pie. These are the larger variety, and I stopped and checked them the other day to see if they were ripe, and they're absolutely delicious. They're the larger variety. I probably wouldn't mess with the small ones, although you never know. If you get desperate enough, you may mess with anything. But anyway, these are growing at a city park. I'm going to go and show you. It's just another way to help with stuff in times like this. So we'll go down and check it out. I brought my bucket, and boy, that tree is loaded. And see, it's at the, there's a city park, and there's the city swimming pool. It's just a tree they have growing out here, and it's a variety that has these giant succulent crab apples, and they are delicious. So anyway, I'm going to pick a few, and boy, it's just amazing how many this has got on it. I mean, my gosh, this is absolutely loaded. And of course, I won't take them all. There's no way I could anyway. Wish I knew what kind of bird that is that's calling out. Not quite sure. Oh yeah, these are just perfect. And they're going to fall to the ground and rot. So when it's like this, when it's, you know, public property, as far as I know, there's no rules or regulations about not picking them. Why would there be? It's a way to just help out. I'll can these up for apple pie right in the middle of winter. And I'll sure be remembering what a bounty Mother Nature gave me through the season. That, you know, earlier this year I canned up a bunch of white mulberries from a mulberry tree that grows in my backyard. It's the first year I've done that. Oh, it's just covered with them. I brought a ladder, but there's no way I can reach all of them. Anyway, it's just a tip. Hope it helps. Give somebody some ideas. Well, these are good. And just as a side note, I'm leaving a lot of apples low to the ground because when I was a kid, I remember walking home from school, there was a crabapple tree that, as we got to the school crossing guard, it was right there on the corner with him, and I would always grab a few and eat them on the way home. So I'm leaving some low for kids if they, you know, if kids come by and they want to get them. I'll get the ones inside the canopy or up higher up. That way everybody has some. And you can tell I got 5 gallons, and that didn't even put a dent in that tree. And they're just gonna fall to the ground and rot if they're not picked and used. So, and just as a side note, you can't see it from here, but way down there, right at the corner here the other day, I was walking, and there's a black mulberry tree that has limbs overhanging the fence. The tree itself is in someone's backyard, but the limbs that were hanging over had the most succulent, delicious, and black mulberry have a different flavor than white, which is what I have in my backyard. So I just picked a few, but anyway, those are ideas. Sometimes you can find stuff, especially in these smaller towns, growing like this, either planted in a public place or courthouse steps, or as a matter of fact, you can't quite see it, but there's the courthouse, and just to the right of it is the pecan tree, and it looks like I looked at it the other day. There'll be pecans I'll get in the winter, but it doesn't look like there's. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is a bumper crop, but it didn't look like it. It did have pecans, but anyway, these are just ideas on, I mean, this is going to make, yeah, it's a lot of work, but what are you going to do? Just go hungry? I mean, since I'm, unemployed, and I guess this is a good place to make a side note. They did, because I wanted everything to be open and honest. I mean, if you don't have, I'm not going to have a BS channel like everybody else has. Well, I can't say everybody. There's a few people that have, an honest up front, have a good, a relevant, genuine, honest content. A lot of it's BS, but anyway, the Employment Commission sent me a job referral the other day, and it's just one I just simply cannot even apply for, and the reason is I can't physically do it. They don't know that. They're just sending me, they just all, to them, they just have a guy that's out of work and looking for a job, and they're going to send him whatever his background, would indicate he would be, fit for, what top jobs. But, that's the other thing that this channel is about, is aging. And I'm getting on in years. And these crab apples are delicious. I can't do a lot of work that I did 30 years ago. And that's a tough thing but it's, a real man is going to have to, own up to his limitations. Where a lot of guys end up getting hurt, incapacitated, where they can't work again, is thinking they can do the jobs they did when they were 20. I'm a little more honest than that. So they sent me a job referral. There's literally no point in me even applying for it, because if they handed it to me on a silver platter, I'm not physically able to do it. So, you can think what you want to think. Anything from, beggars can't be choosers to, you either starve or take whatever job you can get. Well, you've got to know your limitations, and you've got to be ready to change your life accordingly. And that's what I'm having to do. So the other point I'm going to make is, I know a lot of people, it kills their curiosity to know, well, it costs money to live, even if you cut your expenses to the bare bone. How are you doing it? I'll tell you how. I had saved up a small amount of money, which I'm just going to say it's a few $1,000s, before I left my job. And I had anticipated not being eligible for unemployment. Well, just by sheer fluke, it turned out I was eligible. So I went on unemployment for 6 months, which that's when it runs out. And I saved the money that I'd originally set aside for this time of unemployment, and I have simply extended the exact same amount on the exact same days, which is a starvation wages that they, on unemployment. But I extended that, and I'm taking the money that I saved up, and I'm simply moving money from the same amount that the unemployment benefit was every 2 weeks. I'm simply moving that identical amount from my savings to my checking. And so that's why I say that was the final safety net, and now the fuse is lit for real poverty. And but I can't wave a magic wand and make somebody hire me. Now these jobs that, like the one I was sent, if I got in there and tried to do it, you're talking, the probability, not possibility, the probability of having either a stroke or a major heart attack just from doing the work. I don't need to go into the nature of it. It's extremely physical, demanding work that more is befitting for a 30-year-old than a 57-year-old. So there's a lot to be said about once you get older and your experience speaks for you and you can work smarter, not harder, fine and good. The employer expects results, physical results, tangible, measurable, empirical results that result in a profit on the bottom line, and that's what life is all about. So I'm not going to put myself in harm's way, especially considering past health problems. So anyway, that's the video for this time. And so if you're wondering, now this guy's full of BS, he's either got some independent income or something coming in. No, I prepared for this time of unemployment. I lucked out by getting unemployment benefits, so I used that first, and now I'm using the money that I had originally set aside. But what I consider to be the smart thing was in 6 months I got a system down where I could live on that meager amount, and so the best possible choice of options is to continue that discipline. And so that's what I'm doing. And so whenever I come across something like this, crab apples in season, this time of year, I'm sure there's some apple trees. If you see a vacant lot that has apple tree, pear tree, pecans won't be ready until at least November, maybe. I usually gather them. I personally, because they fall better after the end of the year, I usually get mine January. You can get them all the way through March before the trees start budding out again, and most of the squirrels have raided them and all that. But anyway, it gives them time to fall, and if nobody else is going to pick them up, I will. Depending on the part of the country you live in, there could be trees, nut trees, that just grow in places. When I lived in East Texas, there were blackberry bushes that would just grow everywhere. That there was a vacant lot or a bare ditch or something, they would grow, and I'd walk home and gather them and eat them on the way home. See, those are the type of things. Sorry about that. Slip of the finger. Anyway, that's it for now, and I hope that this information helps or maybe encourages somebody out there that's going through the same thing. This is a tough time in life, especially if you're older, and I'm just going to be honest and call a spade, and that is the only way that I'm keeping my sanity and surviving is by the fact/grace, or maybe it really should be grace/fact, that I don't have a family, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife. So a bachelor can always make do with a whole lot less. That's my one saving grace. I mean, there are people, that's why my point is there are people out there that have it. This is a nightmare for a lot of people. I truly, and I've been there before when I was in a family, and there's nothing, and I've just been there more than once. So I know what it's like. My life situation is where God has brought me, so I deal with what there is in front of me. If I had a wife and kids, I would be dealing with that in front of me. That would be where God put me, but this is where things are at. So I'm not going to BS anybody. I have it a whole lot easier by those facts than most people. The stress for a parent in this situation, even if I just had a wife, I assure you, I probably would have when I left that job, I probably would have moved to a bigger city where there's more opportunity. So anyway, I don't want to BS anybody. I want it to be clear and honest. What I'm doing is just how a single middle-aged, if you want to call it that, man deals with unemployment and all the obstacles, the bigotry, the bias, the discrimination, and I never doubt for a moment I will have a job again. I will work. I don't know doing what or where. That doesn't even cross my mind that I'm stuck. I don't even think that. And but you got to deal with the days and the time in between. And so by doing this, and I've canned something every day for the last 2 weeks to clean out my freezer, my refrigerator, and make sure it's all ready to eat, ready to go. Plus, if I need to move, I can take it with me. And it's prepared food. So anyway, I hope these help, and these videos help, and maybe encourage, and hope, if you're going through this, you're not alone. You're not alone by a long shot. But don't ever be in such a way that you yourself forget to extend grace to someone else there's always going to be people that have it harder. Anyway, God bless.